Right guys, we're still here at Shefflin's. It is the 19th or 20th of July and there's a collection of David Browns here. Now they're not all in the same lot, they're not even, I would say, from the same stables, but there's a couple of crop masters and there's a couple of 780s and 770s and there's a David Brown tug. So I said we just make a bit of a video. I suppose it's going to be 5 or 6 minutes long of the David Browns. Now, if you haven't already, please give a like, give a subscribe, and thank you. Thank you for liking. Thank you for giving the video a subscribe. And I don't know when it is. This could be late, very late in the year, but we were in Shefflin's on the 20th of July, and an unbelievable amount of stuff. Unbelievable. And I have a small bit of percentage left from my battery and a small bit of storage left, so I said I'd run through it and I would just give a look at the David Browns. There's a selection of them here, so we'll just give a look and we'll maybe talk about the history of David Brown and how David Brown got into making tractors in the first place. So we'll turn this and we'll go from there. Alright, this is, to me, it's what we would call a David Brown Cropmaster. David Brown, of course, started out going way back whenever he started making tractors or making whatever, but he actually started out making gears. Making wooden gears, and then he started off making gearboxes and all this kind of stuff. So Harry Ferguson, this chap, Harry Ferguson, started making Ferguson blacks, but he could get actually no one to make the tractor for him. They thought he was a bit of a, well, he was a bit of a tearaway, to be honest about it. If he was nowadays, I don't think he'd survive at all, or I don't think he would get too far, because the bank manager would start laughing at him anyway. I really believe that. But he teamed up with David Brown and he made a deal with David Brown. It was a Coventry, as far as I know, it was a Coventry engine, it was a David Brown gearbox, and of course it was Harry Ferguson's back end, the famous lift arm, which is not on this. Oh, it is on this tractor. Look, that's the famous lift arm. That's Harry Ferguson's invention for all the world. So they made what they call the Ferguson Black, and then Harry Ferguson, they made a couple of them. I actually went into the Science Museum in London yesterday to see the Ferguson Black, and it's not there. They've moved. I was actually very disappointed. I was hoping it was going to be there, but they moved it. And I asked the question, and they told me that it hasn't been there for years, that it's out someplace in storage, and they rotate their displays fairly often. So if you're coming over to the Science Museum and you're expecting to see the Ferguson Black, it's not there as of July, August 2024 anyway, for definite. But anyway, Harry Ferguson and David Brown eventually got together and they made up a couple of tractors, and then they had a falling out, because the basic falling out was David Brown wanted to make a bigger, a stronger tractor, but Harry Ferguson didn't. He wanted to keep on to this one, and eventually they fell out and they went their separate ways. And of course we all know what happened. That Harry Ferguson made up with Henry, and they came up with the Ford Ferguson, which they don't have one here, I don't think. But anyway, David Brown started making these. He started making the Crop Masters and the 25Ds and the 50Ds and all that kind of stuff, and brilliant tractors, and he made different varieties of them. And some people said that was David Brown's downfall. He made too much of a variety. There was too many models. You could have too many versions instead of being, and the same thing happened international. There was too many versions of any tractor. And of course then they went on from that, and I should go up there, but I'm not going to go up there. I might actually. They went on and they made the red David Browns, which there's one way up there, but I'm not going to go up because I'm only 8% battery, so I'm going to keep talking. And they went on and they made these ones, which were the 780s. But now they made the red ones in the middle, so we're going to be jumping back and forth. I'm not walking all the way up there and back down again. And they made them, and these were a brilliant tractor, brilliant tractor. But again, there was massive variety. You could have whatever you wanted. You could have a high crop, you could have a low crop, you could have a narrow, you could have different wheel arrangements, different wheel alignments, different linkage arms, couple of different gearboxes. You could have all that, and a lot of people will tell you that was their major downfall. There was too much of a variety, and the too much of a variety can kind of screw them up, really and truthfully. And of course David Brown sold the whole company in the finish, and had to, because They had a loan got off of the English bank, or the English government, and the government was ran by the banks ran by the government. And to make a long story short, and the banks called in the loan, and David Brown had to sell the whole company to Case. But now, backpedal a small bit. This is another version of the Cropmaster, which is below there. And we're down to 6% battery. And this is another version of the Cropmaster. She's a David Brown tug. Now there's another name for it, but I can't think of it. These were used in airports and whatnot for pulling planes. There were weighted wheels, and I don't know, was there a different gearbox in them or not? But like, this is a fantastically restored David Brown tug. It's just, again, an iconic tractor. There should be side panels on the bonnet. I don't know whether they're there or not, but yeah, of course, like David Brown made, they made crawler tractors. They made all that kind of stuff. We're going to stay moving. And like the Massey Ferguson, I know there was Massey Ferguson, that's the one that's letters that's just after coming in. There was Massey Ferguson 165, 168, 175s, but that was kind of it. I know there was a slight variety, but there wasn't the variety that David Brown had. David Brown had too much of a variety, and I think, and I was talking to lots of fellas, they said that was their whole downfall. Now, this is another one of the David Browns. She is the earlier version. You know, the Cropmaster we're just looking at. This is the tug version of that. Again, used, this would have been in the 1960s, used again in airports, used for pulling planes, used for moving planes. Would have been a very much weighted down tractor. You can see the weights in it, there's the extra wheels. She's the different back end. I wonder what model was she. Can I see what model she was? No, they can't, because they have the chassis changed. There's a different chassis in it. Yeah, but look, they're there. They were just brilliant. This is a fabulous tractor. I'd love to have this tractor, actually. I presume she's based on something like a 990 or a 900 or something along those lines, or maybe a 770, 780, maybe an 880. Who knows? But they have all that. And then we have another one. This is the David Brown again. She's the same as what's below, kind of the Cropmaster one. And they had massive varieties. Like they had, we said this one is a 25D. They had the Cropmaster. There's a Cropmaster there someplace. I don't know where I saw it. And then they have the 25D. There was a 30D, 35D. There was a 50D. They made them all in the UK, and they were exported all over the world. But like that, they had too much of a variety, and I think that was a lot of their complete downfall. Like, I'd love if there was a David Brown day, if anyone's willing to have a David Brown day. And I know there's David Brown days, but have everything there. Have the Cropmaster, 25D, the 35D, the 50D, have all that, have the 900s, have every David Brown there. I'd love to know how many is there. I know Massey Ferguson had, we said, where we would consider the 2680 and all that, and they were sold all over the world, but they were more or less the same tractor, but they were slightly numbered different. Okay, they might have had a different engine for the American market and maybe a different engine for the French market, but they were basically the same tractor. Now we have the David Brown 900. These came after the Cropmasters. This was the new shape. But like, again, fabulous looking tractor. But again, there was so many different varieties. Even their own plan wasn't working, because these weren't a great tractor. They were not a great tractor, and I think they only made the David Brown 900 for something like about 2 years, maybe a year and a half. Somebody there can tell me. But like, this is a very early one. Look at the dash. I just spotted that. She's a very early one. Look at the dash. This is how you can tell. She's a very, very early 900. I wonder, we have 1% battery left, lads, and I'm shy, but I'm not going to be shy now. This is a 990. Look at the dash on the 990. Different dash. Alright guys, that's kind of it. My battery's going to go dead. I'm at 1%. Thanks here to Cheffins. Thanks to everyone for watching. We got going again, lads. And the end of the David Brown story is this. These are the last of the David Browns. These tractors were David Brown design. Even if you go forward, which there's one of them here someplace. I saw it someplace. I don't know where I saw it. It's a 5150, and the 5150 and the 5120s and the 5130s were actually a David Brown design. So that's kind of it. that's kind of the end of the David Brown story. We're still here at Cheffins. I'm sure Jesus Christ, I have videos. But that is the end of the David Brown story. Camera did go dead. The nice people here at Cheffins actually plugged it in when I drank a cup of tea for myself. So that's it. Give a like, give a subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next one.